Good morning, grade 6 students. Today we are going to learn a new reading lesson, which is on page 64 of your books. If you look at the pictures, you can notice that we have high quantities of oil that cover the surface of the ocean. The title of our lesson is When the Oil Spilled, and the pictures also illustrate that we will talk about one of the biggest oil spills in recent history. Our lesson is a fact lesson. It's a true lesson. It talks about an ecological catastrophe that really happened in the past. Now let's move to page 65. This map shows the place where the oil spilled. We can notice the huge or wide area of the spilling oil, which is colored in black, where hundreds of miles were affected by the spill. It happened near Alaska in Prince William Sound waters. Now let's go to page 66. Before we start reading, I want to tell you that our lesson is in the form of newspaper report. Pay attention to the sidebar that shows the key feature of a newspaper article. This is the sidebar. So, ecological catastrophe is the headline of the article. So, ecological catastrophe is the headline. The date was March 23, 1989, and this is called the date line. The date line. Now, let's find who wrote the article. She is Vanessa Jonasson, and that's the byline. So, Vanessa Jonasson is the writer of the article. This line is called the byline. And now let's read the first paragraph of the article to find out what the slug line is. So what is the slug line? The slug line is the sentence that tells the main idea of the whole article. It tells the main idea of the whole article. We find it in the first paragraph. Now let's move to the first paragraph and start reading. Late last night, an ecological catastrophe. Catastrophe means disaster. Struck the waters of Prince William Sound near Valdez, Alaska. Yesterday evening, the giant oil tanker Exxon Valdez finished loading up oil at the port town of Valdez. The tanker had only sailed a few miles when it ran into a reef and tore open all its 11 oil tanks. 42 million liters of crude oil spewed out. Spewed out means spilled out, shooting 3 meters into the air and spilled into the Prince William Sound waters. So, what's the main idea of this paragraph? The main idea of this paragraph is the first sentence here. In this case, it is the first sentence, which is late last night, an ecological catastrophe struck the waters of Prince William Sound near Valdez, Alaska. So this is the slug line, which is the main idea of the paragraph. In this paragraph, the writer tells us that on the 22nd of March 1989, the oil tanker Exxon Valdez sailed into a reef in Alaska's Prince William Sound. This is the beach where the tanker spilled the oil and began spilling approximately 42 million liters of crude oil into the waters. And now let's go to the second paragraph. Witnesses on the scene reported smelling the oil immediately. They reported the sensation of watering eyes and nausea from the fumes. So, witnesses means the people who see the accident. Witnesses reported smelling the oil, and then they reported the sensation of watering eyes and nausea from the fumes. What is the meaning of nausea? Nausea means the feeling that one has when about to vomit. And now let's go to the vocabulary words. The first vocabulary words is ecological. Ecological means environmental. The second one is catastrophe. Catastrophe means disaster, a terrible or a dangerous disaster or problem. Number 3, nausea. Nausea, feeling of sickness or discomfort. Or we can say the feeling that one has when about to vomit. Number 4, spewed out. Spewed out means spilled or threw out in a large quantity, in a huge quantity.